Thank you so much.
Welcome
to Lifestyle Magazine. Well, in the past, we've had shows where we discussed issues that make men a little self-conscious, but I wonder if today's show will make women self-conscious.
Self-conscious? Probably not. I think today's show, because we're going to be talking about breast cancer, has the tendency to make women afraid. Uncomfortable, maybe afraid, maybe a little self-conscious.
Now, do you think that people have been more educated about it because there have been articles about it lately?
Oh, I think absolutely. It's hard to miss all the information that we are given about breast cancer. But still, that doesn't take away the fear. That actually heightens
And a lot of people don't go and get themselves examined,
Correct.
sort of on the principle of what I don't know won't hurt me, but in fact, what you don't know could kill you. So we're going to talk about that today, but we're not really doing a show about breast cancer or its causes or its treatments. It's a show about healing, isn't that right?
Well, today's show actually is really about coping. What we're going to do today is talk about how you cope when you run into a life situation that's so big that it just broadsides you.
But we're also talking about using humor to cope.
And attitude.
Attitude. Positive.
Yes.
You know, light attitude.
That's correct. I think what we're going to hear today is our guest dealt with tough stuff by the right attitude.
Well, I am always ready to smile. First, we're going to turn the stage over to a very special performer. Please welcome comedian Devora Cutler Rubenstein.
Hey, everybody. Hi. I'm Devora, and I'm a writer, thank you, producer and director, breast cancer survivor. Welcome to the comedy! Now, a couple of you out there, you look kind of like sad, like unhappy for me. No, trust me, breast cancer, easy. Turning 40 in Hollywood, now that's a fatal disease. You know what's strange, and I'm sure you've all experienced this, is that people don't know what to say when something awful happens, okay? And it's important to have a supportive husband. And my husband, I mean, he's great. He's the strong, silent type. But for the longest time, he didn't say anything. And one day I come home, and he's crying on the couch. And I come home, I say, honey, what is it? And he goes, k. He's from New York. And I said, coffee? You want some coffee? And he goes, cancer. And I said, hon, I'm going to be fine. We caught it early. And he goes, not you, Joe Torre, the Yankee manager, has prostate cancer. I said, hon, I'm your wife. I have cancer. He says, I know, but you're not going to lose the pennant. So I had to ask him. I said, hon, are you going to leave me over this? We're all afraid of that, right? And he said, oh no, I would never leave you. You're heavily insured. It's okay. I love my husband. He's been great. But I'm not really recovering from cancer. I'm recovering from terminally stupid people, okay? Now, it is like the experience of cancer, though, is sort of like an accident on the freeway of life. And you do develop the attitude of gratitude. And God love everybody that helped us through this. But you have to kind of look at some of those folks along the way. Like when I first woke up in surgery, you don't know whether you have cancer or not. And you wake up, and there's this beatific nurse in a white outfit at the end of your bed. And you're thinking, oh, she's my angel. She's going to give me the good news or the bad news. But thank goodness it's her. And so you ask her, she's holding a little file, and she says, oh, my sister had the same kind of cancer that you do. I said, really? How's she doing? She died. Very thoughtful. So I have to tell you, though, that these two fingers, the best technology you could ever want. Big machines missed it. These two fingers saved my life. So remember to check yourself or have your special friend help you out. And, my dad said, look, what doesn't kill you will hopefully make you funnier. And for me, every day's a good hair day. I have some. Thank you.
We'll be right back. We're going to sit down and talk with award-winning writer-director.
Learning a new language can be difficult and discouraging, but it doesn't have to be. Hello, I'm Karen, introducing Hello Channel, the revolutionary new channel designed especially to teach English. If you can speak English, the future is open for you, since speaking English means greater opportunity and higher paying jobs. By watching Hello Channel, you are immersed in this valuable language. You'll hear the words being spoken. You'll see the speakers' mouths when they say the words. You'll read what's being spoken in large, clear subtitles. And you'll speak out loud, practicing what you have just learned. There is no better or faster way to learn a language than total immersion. Hello Channel does exactly that. There's programming on every level so you can watch the shows that are just perfect for you. Whether you've spoken a little English, a great deal of English, or none at all, the Hello Channel has something for everyone. Join us for a convenient, affordable, and fun way to shape your future. There's so much in store for you if you'll just say hello.
We are back. We are back. So many interesting questions to ask you, Devo. Well, now, did the comedy come out of perhaps a conversation with a few friends or with family? Or as you started talking to yourself, did you say something and went, you know, that's funny? Or did you deliberately decide to write humor, comedy?
Well, I'm like you, Clifton. I crack myself up. I always have, you know, from the time I was a little girl putting toilet paper on my, you know, hair, trying to entertain my parents. And so it just kind of happened. I mean, I was teaching a bunch of stand-up comedians because I also, on top of being a producer, I'm a coach. And I noticed that I was attracting a lot of stand-up comedians, and I thought maybe I'm getting a message. And so I tried a class, and that's, you know, rest
Did
is
you make
history.
people uncomfortable when you started combining humor and breast cancer?
I did. In fact, a lot of people said, you can't do that. It's just too dark a topic. And I said, oh, yes, well, George Carlin talks about death. So you had to persist. And part of it was my own healing. I mean, I was like on this mission to heal myself, to really turn myself inside out and feel grateful. You know, find that gratitude.
But now you didn't just start doing stand-up. You've been a studio executive.
Yes.
But you produced a documentary.
The documentary is really a way of looking at my own evolution. It's my own narcissistic involvement. I look at my evolution as a stand-up comedian, but also looking at how our culture is addicted to suffering, and where can we find the joy right now, and then kind of juxtaposing my life events, because I'm photograph myself staring at myself balding in the you know mirror and feeling suicidal and those dark moments. I mean, I captured all that on film, and then I, like Seinfeld was kind of my model, I juxtaposed it with the stand-up comedy.
Weave the humor into
exactly.
it. You know, I have an awesome friend. Her name is Sarah Ufendel, and she had breast cancer. And when she got it, young woman, young physician, she was a good friend of mine. I remember the phone call when she called. And we found ourselves in the hospital that day just before she was going in to have a double mastectomy. I mean, this was big stuff. We were standing in a circle. The mood was way down at the bottom. And all of a sudden, Sarah, she kind of pulled her shirt up, and to the girls in the group, she wrote, "Take me on this and me too," on the other side.
My goodness, that's
and
wonderful.
It just broke the mood for all of us. It was awesome. And I'd like to introduce to you right now and to our audience, Dr. Sarah Ufendel.
Wonderful.
Nice to meet you, Sarah.
Well, Sarah, we have come a long way since that day, have we not?
Oh, yes, thankfully.
And you have had an incredible attitude through this. I mean, you amazed all of us. We all felt like we were the weak ones.
Well, you know, some people wondered if it was denial, but you don't know how you're going to go through something until it happens. And I've always believed that a positive attitude and humor help the trip to be more worthwhile. And it really came to the test when I actually got breast cancer. And it's like, can I go through this with a positive attitude without denying what's actually happening?
Did you decide right at the beginning, I'm gonna stay up, I'm gonna laugh, I'm gonna find the humor in it, or did you?
Yeah, pretty early, because I found it was consuming. I don't know about you.
Yes,
Consumed every thought I had.
Right.
And I couldn't get my mind off it, so I went out and rented a bunch of comedies and just watched them so I could think of something else and I could laugh and life could move on.
There again, humor helping us to cope, helping us to deal with some of the most difficult moments of our lives. Now, you're a physician, right?
Yes.
How does a physician deal with this kind of tragedy coming upon them? Because, you know, traditionally it seems as though physicians feel impervious to disease. You know, doctors feel like they won't ever get sick.
She feels impervious to everything. I know
How
it.
did this affect you from a physician's perspective?
You're absolutely right. I mean, I'm a personality who feels impervious anyway. When you add that to being a physician, I never considered getting sick from anything. And it was a total shock. And then to have the roles reversed and me be the one in the hospital bed, that somebody is leaning over and trying to help, me be the one that is nauseated and sick, and they're medicating, and I'm medicated out of my mind. And it was such a shift in my mentality. I got real insight into what some of the patients go through. You assume when you give them a medicine, they come back a week or two later, you know, that they're doing okay.
I think the thing too, Sarah, and with you, Devo, it was so fast. It's like you find this out one day, and all of a sudden, like a speeding train, your whole world is doing something different.
It's transformed, isn't it?
Yeah, and
Yeah, I was whitewater rafting just weeks before.
That's right.
And I
Feeling-
was in Europe.
Yeah,
Yes.
feeling great.
What other treatment after the surgery did you have to endure, and how did humor play a role in that?
Well, there were times where it was really tough. In fact, there are times where you can't laugh everything away, that's for sure. There was chemotherapy after that, and there were times on chemotherapy I felt like dying. I don't know if you did. I just didn't want to go on. Times I was so nauseated I couldn't hold down water for days. I would call Tammy and say, I can't go on. And just the sequelae of going through the surgery, it was months before I could stand up straight because of all that was involved. It was painful, it was sickening, but
But you were funny.
in between times
Still
it
were
was funny.
funny.
She had the right kind of attitude.
She did. I remember when the hair started to fall out, and I didn't have the courage. I don't think I've ever admitted this to you. I didn't have the courage to come over.
Really?
Well, don't you remember I never came?
Yes.
And why didn't you have the courage?
I
Because
was
you're telling
too
the truth here is going to
sad.
help somebody else cope with
I
it.
was too sad. You had another friend who had more courage than me.
You know, that's interesting because a lot of people, they want to tell you something. They want to talk to you and encourage you, but they don't know how. And in fact, it was interesting from my perspective that I felt more sorry for them because they were trying to be comforting. And sometimes they would mess up. Like one person said to me, "Oh, I thought you were dead. I heard you had cancer."
You know, I found myself saying that to a friend of mine who had overcome it, and I never felt more like I'd put my foot in my mouth. 'Cause he had gone into recession.
Right.
He was doing fine. Unbelievable. Well, I mean, between the two
Remission.
of you,
Yeah, remission would be.
did I say recession?
Yes, you did.
Oh my goodness! I mean,
But it wasn't depressing like a recession.
I'm so sick. See, when you talk fast, you can sometimes mess it up. Well, she's got a documentary which she deals with the death of her father, the loss of her cat. My goodness, a yahrzeit and 30-year class reunion. She's put it all in this. I want to know about that, and I want to know how you keep a good attitude. And we'll do that when we come back.
I Learn English, you can also on Hello Channel.
we're talking to two great ladies who are breast cancer survivors. And Devo, I wanted to ask you, you put all of that stuff into this one documentary. Why? And you also added chemo-induced menopause. What did it all mean for you?
Well, the documentary is called Markings, and the reason is there were so many significant life events during the course of this particular year. 2 days before my diagnosis, my father died. And I had been trying to get pregnant, and so that was one of the reasons the doctor actually missed the lump, is our focus was elsewhere. You know, your life is, you're just living your life. You're not thinking that there's something that's going to happen that will stop it. So I wanted, in the film, is to talk about all the things that mark the life cycle, including illness, that it's just a part of life. It's not something that we can avoid. It's just an inevitable part of it, and whether we like it or not. And so that's why I included all the life events. And
I think listening to Sarah afterwards, you know, we talked a long time, sometimes at night, and I would say, well, if you had it to do over, you know, how do you feel now? And you still have this most incredible take on this that I'm not still convinced of, but you might convince me in a while and tell everybody what that is.
Well, I feel really blessed by the whole experience. That's incredible, I realize, but going through cancer, everybody I knew, all my friends and my family, they surrounded me with so much love and so much care. Everybody just uplifted me. And I'd never had so much attention or love before in my life. And it's not that nobody ever loved me before, but it was all so concentrated in that short period of my life that I just lapped it up. And I can honestly look back and I can say it was the most beautiful while also being the most horrible experience I've ever been through.
like it that you say it is a gift. It's the gift you don't want to open or get, but
Right.
when you get it, it's what you do with it. I think.
Absolutely. And I believe
so-
life is certainly, it happens to you. We can't control it, it just happens. But our response to it is where we can choose. And I
Now, Sarah, with your patients now, how has this impacted what you say to patients?
I was in the hospital a few weeks ago on the neurology service, because that's my service, not breast cancer, and I saw a patient lying in there with the same packing and the same mesh over her, and I knew
You knew what
she'd had a double mastectomy. And I couldn't help myself. I just went up to her. I had no relation to her, but I just went up and I said, I've been there.
Wow.
It means so much
very
when people do that. It really does. The slightest, I mean, talking to, now when you start knowing that other people have had it, and you realize just the littlest smile. I mean, people don't have to do that much to encourage you. They think they have to say, oh my gosh, or it's really just holding a hand and being there, doing grocery shopping and listening to the jokes and
For several
bringing.
years, I worked with the Children's Miracle Network, and I also was a part of a program out at Loma Linda University, where every Christmas we would be with little children who were dealing with chemotherapy and having
So
cancer
tough.
at the Ronald McDonald House.
Right.
And I tell you, we tried to give them joy for the moment we had them in our lives. Just give them joy with music, with encouragement, you know, with toys. And sometimes it was difficult to see that some of those children weren't there the next year. But what really made us happy was seeing that others were there. Others had hair. Others' hair had grown back. And I'm looking at all this hair on your head and I'm thinking, this is grown back. This is a very positive thing. Tell us what are some of the outcomes of the treatment that you've had?
I've had so much fun with the hair. Most people just dread that portion of it, but you know, I painted my head a couple of times, had a friend paint my head.
May I ask what colors?
Yes. One time it was just kind of a psychedelic swirling color. Another time it was the midnight sky with stars and a moon and everything. And I went out, you know, went and saw a movie, and people would go,
The reality is you guys have gotten such great attitudes about this.
Yes.
Now, I know you had some weird things. You told us about that earlier. Some weird things happened. We got a couple of minutes. Tell us about some of the weird things that happened
Well,
during this period of
when
time.
you're first diagnosed, now I was small-breasted, or I'll just say it, flat-chested my whole life. And I said, I used to say to my mom, like, when am I going to be old enough to wear a bra? And she said, well, you're 28, get over it. so you're thinking, okay, so they're going to go in and they're going to take. What are they going to take?
Yeah.
So, but actually, radiation gives you a perky little lift. It does.
Really?
So then I said to the
Is that
doctor, can
true,
do the other one?
doctor?
I don't perform
they
radiation, and I didn't have radiation, so.
Well, I
Anyway,
tell you-
so that was one of the funny stories, was just realizing that, I'm happy to have what I have, and I feel very happy about it and grateful. And it was a gift. So it's funny stories, funny stories.
Well, and I think too, what I've noticed with Sarah, and I don't know if that's the same with you, but as time goes by, that attitude is almost as important, if not more, than it was originally.
It's hard because we're
Yes, it
trained.
is.
I think in this culture, there's just so much negative thinking or
I'm
just
one of the most
self-judgment.
positive people in the world, but even I, sometimes find myself in a negative bag. But I don't see that anywhere
No.
with you two. I am just so inspired by you.
Thank you.
Yes,
I really
I am too.
I
You're
know
both
you
awesome.
use humor. Yes, our audience is too. It's wonderful to see you are breast cancer survivors, but more than that you're making the difference in the lives of so many other women out there by telling your story on television and by using humor and the right attitude to deal with it. I want to say thank you for being on our show.
Thank you
so much.
Sarah Uppendahl, Deborah Cutler-Rubenstein, and we'll be back with a few last words right after this.
Learn English at home. Just say hello.
Well, this has been a very informative, exciting, and actually kind of a funny show. Not because the issues that we were dealing with, breast cancer, is funny at all, but because of the way we're dealing with it.
And Sarah, parting words of wisdom to those folk out there facing something really big on attitude.
I'd like to leave with laughter does benefit us. It doesn't always heal the pain or remove the obstacle, but I believe it certainly makes the journey more worthwhile.
Yes. And I have been blessed to be part of your journey. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's wonderful. Oh, yeah. That's really wonderful. Sarah Uppendahl, Deborah Cutler-Rubenstein, thank you so much for being our guests on Lifestyle Magazine. And if you'd like some more information about these subjects, you can always log on to our website at lifestyle.org. We'll be back again. I'm Clifton Davis.
And I'm Tammy McGrew.
And thanks for tuning in. See you next time.
Bye.